All right, welcome back to another student interview with me today. I've got one of our top students, Lee Jennings. Lee, thank you so much for jumping on this quick interview with me today.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know off air we're talking about you've got your tight schedule, you've got your prospecting that you're going to jump on right after this, so I don't want to waste any time. Let's jump right into it. So what market are you in?
So I'm in Seattle, Washington.
Awesome.
And yeah.
So the cool thing is the story that I want to tell today is Seattle, Washington, for you a year ago was a brand new market. You knew nobody. You didn't have a sphere of influence. You had to start building your business from scratch. Is that right?
Yep, exactly. So I got my license, my Washington license in April of last year.
April of last year. Okay, cool. And really quick, what brought you to Seattle?
So it was kind of life and work changes. I owned two property management companies before my whole real estate sales life. And I did it for like 13 years, and I just kind of got tired of dealing with that side of the business. And I ended up selling both companies, and I had to sign a non-competition agreement in both of my old markets. So I'm licensed in Colorado and Wyoming as well. And I own property management companies in both of those markets. And I sold them both, and I needed to, I couldn't work there basically. So I had to go to a new market.
Got it. Okay, cool. So tell people in the last year, not knowing a soul, I mean, you have had to work on your skills and build a listing-based business through direct prospecting. How many deals have you been able to put together over the past 12 months in a brand new market?
So the past 12 months, I've put together like 15 deals. But my market's a pretty high-end market. Like our average sales price here is like in, mid 700s.
Got it.
And last year, 2019, I mean, it's kind of been like an exponential ramp up because all of 2019, I only did 3 transactions.
So that's so interesting, right? So that's what I try to explain to everybody, right? So you went 2019, you closed 3, and then all the work, I'm assuming, I want you to tell me, all the work you did in 2019 manifested over the past essentially rolling 12 months to get you to 15 deals, or how much in volume in your market has that been?
So all of 2019 was just over $1 million in volume. So it was like, those 3 deals. And then this year I'm up to, I think this year I'm around 6 million.
Wow. And so is that the story that has taken place for you? Was like all the work you did last year, manifesting it and turning into business this year?
Yes, for sure. Because like last fall, last fall, I was prospecting like a madman. I was getting in front of a lot of people. And then I had my first really big month like this past January.
Got it.
And that kind of triggered everything.
That's great. So I want to talk about your approach, and so I want to talk through as you're prospecting, as you've been able to build a nice size business, certainly in the next 12 months, you probably want to get over to 10 million. Is that right?
Oh, definitely.
All right. So how are you doing it? Talk about your approach, some of the things you've learned in us working together, some things that you did in the past that were big mistakes that you've changed. Talk about that a little bit.
So, I mean, I think when I first got into the sales business here, I was doing this sort of bowl them over approach where I would try to overcome, all the objections, that sort of thing, and try to kind of push people and make them do what I wanted them to do, which, I mean, occasionally you'll find a deal that way, but it just wasn't beneficial really.
Yeah.
And so it was funny because I found you through Luna G and her YouTube video. That's how I found you.
That's
and
right.
I was like, he is doing so many things that I think I need to be doing, like as far as reverse selling and all of that. And I was like, this makes total sense to me.
Yeah. And so what was it that made a lot of sense to you? Like you were doing whatever we were all taught, right? In sales.
Right.
What was it specifically that you heard, you saw, that you're learning now that has made a difference for you?
I would say probably not overcoming objections and just and asking questions as opposed to that. That's probably been the biggest single thing. And then, and really, and I'm working on this now super hard, but learning the scripts and using the right words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? It's like in sales, I think that what used to be taught and what's being taught now is how to stay agreeable, right? How to stay agreeable with the prospect. Because if you try to argue and you try to fight with people, it's a battle that you're not going to win, Right. And so we're teaching people how to stay agreeable so people don't have to put their guard up. And all we're doing is simply asking more questions that lead people to make their own decisions. And certainly that puts us in front of a lot more prospects. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. And I've been going on a lot of preview appointments, and I was doing that prior to meeting you, but I don't feel like I was going into it with the same kind of mindset and the same approach, really.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot more fruitful now.
So you're taking the preview appointment follow-up strategy, and you're previewing expireds, absentee owners,
Yes.
FSBOs, all of them, correct?
The whole every pillar or every lead type, I'm doing the same thing.
And just so walk people through that from a high level really quick. Like what do you do on the first call, then your preview, like kind of walk us through that.
So first call, my goal is to get in front of them either physically or like on a Zoom call, ideally physically, like here in Seattle, and walk the property and meet them. And it doesn't matter if it's an absentee or an expired or FSBO or whatever, or rent by owner, any lead type. And then, once I do that, and obviously if I can't list them right away, then I'm going to do, and I'm, also working on this. I feel like I'm like drinking water through a fire hose right now. I'm trying to improve in like every possible way, including my follow-up.
Yeah.
And so they're going into my follow-up system. Now, finally, my follow-up system and my dialer are finally integrated. So it's a lot more efficient that way.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. So, real quick, what would you say to a lot of people, Lee, that, still are under the approach of like pre-qualify, you're not going on an appointment unless they're ready to sign a contract today. You've changed your strategy and you said, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to go get face-to-face. What's been your experience with that strategy so far?
That's probably the single biggest thing that has made me more successful this year, is just getting in front of more people, period. Just that.
And is it because, and that was what changed everything for me too. That's where I started training people when I had this big aha, because before I was being coached to never do that. And so for me, what I learned over the years was when I got that face-to-face appointment, that the conversations were so much different than what they were telling me on the phone. And I look back over my career over the past 10 years and I say to myself, wait a minute, are you telling me, Brandon, that all that stuff they were telling me over the phone were just smoke screens, that actually wasn't real? And that's what I learned to be true, where, let me give people that are watching this in the future an example. I would talk to an expired, or for rent by owner, an absentee owner. They would give me some type of reflex no. It was just natural. I mean, I was a stranger and they didn't know me and I didn't know them. And they were just telling me, no, I'm not interested in selling my home. And I was taking that at face value and saying, well, they weren't interested. Then about 6 years ago, I would say, cool, I get it. I mean, listen, at some point in time, you may look at selling the property. What I like to do is stop by, take a look at the home, and have a chance to meet. And then when I went to the appointment with that same person, they're like, I'm actually looking to list my home in the next 30 days. I'm like, wow. And it was amazing what had occurred. And so is that kind of what you've experienced as well?
Yeah. I mean, one like anecdote that I can tell you is I had an experience where I was talking to a seller on the phone and he's giving me resistance. Okay, fine. You can come see it. So I go preview it. It had been listed previously. It was an expired. It was listed previously with a family member. Well, the family member it was listed with was their daughter.
Mm.
And same thing. He basically told me, like, within about 12 minutes of being in the property, I figured out that I was going to be listing it immediately.
Wow.
And I sold it in 14 days. And like, I'm sure it made for some really fun, dinner table conversation on their side of things, but it was amazing.
Because your old self and my old self, you would have never gone on that appointment before, correct?
Right. I would have qualified my way out of it.
That's right.
And he even said to me on the phone, well, we had a family member list it. We'll probably relist it with them and all this stuff. And, and I just wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. And that's where that little saying that we talk about in our program, nothing is as it seems. It happens time and time and time again.
Yep.
It's amazing. So let me ask you this. I know you want to get going and get prospecting and start setting more appointments. What advice would you give to somebody that's new to prospecting, that has an absolute dreaded fear? They are like sweats and they're having nightmares about making phone calls. What kind of advice would you give to them that would ease their anxiety to get them started?
You know, this is something that everyone grapples with. I think for one thing is even if you've already done the mindset training that you've given us, just do it again. I mean, I've done it like several times now. It sounds trite, but it's really true. And you have to get into like a hypnotic rhythm. You have to not be worrying about the next call. You have to get into a rhythm. And always that first call is the toughest. So just break through that first call, and then you're on your way.
I love it. And I'll just add that as we end this here in a second, I'll add that once somebody, Lee, can not worry about what they're going to say from a standpoint of trying to overcome objections, and like once you don't have to worry about that, you can make peace with that. It really helped me lower my anxiety of the call, because I would detach from the outcome and only try to find people that were in need of help, that I could help, that were nice, sane, reasonable people. And it worked very, very well. I didn't have to stress out about, they gave me this objection. What do I say? How do I overcome this? Oh, it just created more stress for me. Right. So all I worried about is if they told me something, I didn't have to have an objection handler. All I had to do is simply say, I agree with you. Brandon, I don't want to sell my house. I agree.
Everyone always says actions over results. And I feel like that phrase goes into every aspect of this business. It's not just like on the phone. It's so many other things. People are like looking for perfection, and they're looking for like immediate results, and it's the opposite.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So cool. So what are your goals? I threw out 10 million, but what do you see yourself doing over the next 12 months?
My goals, my 2021 goal is 50 transactions, which is going to be like a huge ramp up for me, which is like that's why I have to work. I have to really focus this fall to put that business in my pipeline. And in my market, that's a huge PCI number. It's a high end market here.
Yeah. And so if you do 50 deals, what kind of income will you earn off of 50 deals?
50 deals, I'm making probably somewhere between $700,000 and $1 million annually.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And in order to do that, the thing that you understand that most agents do not, you just nailed it, is the work that is going to manifest in 2021 will be done this fall. Right. Exactly. And then all those transactions will come over the next 90 days to 180 days from the work that you do now until the end of the year. So, Lee, that's super cool, man. I know that you inspire a lot of people inside of our program. I want to thank you for doing this. Certainly, it's a pleasure working with you, because I like working with the most committed agents. So, man, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Thank you. I can tell you that the program has been like life-changing for me. It's definitely the best thing that I have found. And I've looked at a lot of trainings and stuff, I've been around the industry for like 15 years because I've been licensed since 2005. So sure. I kind of know the drill. I know the backstory. I know a lot of the other coaching programs out there. And I think you're on another level. It's been life-changing for me. So. Well, I appreciate those words. And I'm just on a mission to keep getting better, right? Keep getting better, improving myself so I can help other people get better. So have a great prospecting session this morning, and we will see you at our next coaching call. But Lee Jennings, thank you so much. And if someone has a referral to send you in Seattle, Washington, what's the best way for them to get in touch? Either just either text me. My number's 206-419-8303, or just email me. It's leejenningsrealtor@gmail.com. Pretty simple stuff, man. Lee, great job. Good stuff. Keep rocking and rolling, man. And we'll talk to you soon. Sounds good, man. Thank you. Talk to you soon.